Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys Robocop vs. Terminator, Terminator Plasma Rifle T-800. One thing that's interesting to note, and I never mentioned it with the Robocop end of the reviews, was that the bottom section here only lists what that side is. So for example, down below we've got a picture of the endoskeleton, but next to it, it says versus the Terminator. So a clever way that they didn't do Robocop versus Terminator. If you also look and go back to my review of Robocop, you'll see Robocop was the same way. This section here was covered, and it just said Robocop. So I think that's kind of neat. On the side, it's got Robocop, it's got Terminator Plasma Rifle T-800. The T-800 looks like he comes with just one accessory, painted very coolly because it's painted in that kind of video game treatment. We'll look at that obviously in a second. On the back of the packaging, in the crumbling ruins of a world under siege, man-machine meets machine-man as legendary cyborgs clash to decide the fate of the Earth. Now, not only are you seeing the T-800 here, but a couple of the other endoskeletons as well. There's also a 2-pack, which I think actually is these two figures here. It's the kind of the reddish color, rusted red color, and then it's that blue color. But it says endoskeleton figures also sold separately. To check out more from the folks over at NECA Toys, you can go to www.necaonline.com. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Robocop vs. Terminator Plasma Rifle T-800. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. One thing, just before we have a look at the T-800, Spot also want to show you the inside card, which is something I didn't show you with the other figures. Got this really neat pixelized back scene there. It says meets extra, which is kind of funny. So I like that. I mean, you could theoretically display, you know, the Terminator inside of that. If you so wish. I prefer myself as somebody that just displays them as is, but you know, that's a nice way to kind of do it as well. One other accessory, if you really want to count that back card as the accessory, but one other thing you get too is his laser rifle. And the plasma rifle actually is really neat. Both the plasma rifle as well as the T-800 have been taken from previously released Robocop figures. It's very basic in paint, as it really should be because it's taken from the game. So, like, all the colors is just basic, dark gray, lighter gray in little accent areas, black, a little bit of red, and the white. This white really goes a long way. It's something I appreciate so much about the Robocop figures. That little white just makes the piece shine. No pun intended. So you get that. You can take it and put it into the T-800's hands. I guess probably it'd be better to put it into that hand. And you can display them like that. One thing I mentioned was that both the rifle and Rambo, the Terminator here, are released from previous figures. They've taken the steel plant Robocop, the steel plant Terminator, and have painted him in more game accurate colors. For the most part, he's really all black. He has paint in his face, but the rest of his outfit is just all black, but accented in red, a little bit of that light purple and dark purple color, and in the knee area there, he's got some gray, also gray in the torso. Love his face, though. I don't know what it is. It's an original figure, so it's not as super sculpted as what we see with new NECA pieces, but they have just done a bang-up job on the paint. His face color is beyond a realistic flesh color, but that's the way it should be, really, in the game. Very bright red, but areas right here, it just shines. You got that gray, which was the gray down here. There's a little bit of a lighter gray coloring in there, just to kind of round out some of those details, make those details stand out as if they're reflecting. But then he's got the black area of his eye with a little bit of the red there. It really pops. The red on this black pops very well. As I said, like the rest of the figure though is just a reuse of what we've seen before. He's got some bullet holes in his jacket there. He's got some bullet holes on the front there too. But it's remarkable how you can take an existing figure, and NECA's really great at this, take an existing figure that we've gotten before and find a new interesting way to paint it up. The purple also really brings out these details too, especially around the folds and creases of the pants. The light and the dark purple make all of those details pop very well. For a comparison, by the way, there is the T-800. And reaching off camera, let's bring in, say, the Robocop. There's the Robocop that we already had a look at. Robocop benefits too from being a later release figure that he has a little more articulation, especially in the legs. But the two work very well together. When it comes to your articulation though, T-800 is very limited. This figure is an older figure, so essentially all the bottom torso section, other than the swivel in the waist and swivel in the thigh area, and actually really it's, as far as I can see, it's only really in the one thigh and one boot. The other boot section here does rotate, but it doesn't look like the thigh area rotates. But aside from that, like the bottom torso is just staction. It's one sculpted piece. He does, however, have articulation in the elbows, a swivel in the elbow, a ball hinge joint in the shoulder section, and a swivel in the wrists. So at least they were far enough along when they released their original Terminator figures that at least this Terminator benefits from the additional articulation in the shoulders. And then of course for his head does swivel, but it swivels at the neck area versus that in the actual head area of the neck. Let's put his gun back into his hand, just like that. We'll bend the elbow. There we go. Even though this figure is a little more basic, a little less articulation than what we come to expect with NECA toys now, what they've done with paint is amazing. As I mentioned with the Robocop, it may not be for everybody. You may look at this figure and say, I don't know, Spot. I'm not feeling the look of this Robocop or this Terminator. But I gotta say though, once again, NECA really has impressed me for what they've done with an existing figure. They've taken a figure that's X number of years old, and by adding all this extra paint to it, have really given a new life to this piece, which I guess is somewhat ironic, the fact that we're looking at a Terminator. Terminator, for paint and how well he was put together, I'm going to give the Terminator here an 8.5. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the NECA Toys Robocop versus Terminator. We're having a look today at the Plasma Rifle T-800. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.